enough about talking about bad hair days and cowlicks, which we have been doing, right, Pamela?
Yes.
And we are on to a much less trivial topic, and one that seems to be very, very hot right now and very serious about the coronavirus. Hello, my lovely boy, Erik.
He said, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy.
Mommy still loves you and always will. And Pamela, hello, good morning, beautiful girl. The most beautiful face I have. Oh, your skin is beautiful. All right. So y'all ready to rock and roll?
Yes, we're ready.
All right, Erik, I will just open it up first and then ask the blog members questions. Tell us what you think we should know.
So he's coming in with a particular scientist,
Oh, good.
He's coming in with Louis Pasteur. And he says, "Si, mom, I'm French, I'm French."
Oh, oui, oui, oui.
And he's making like fun little things to try to lighten things up for you guys. And
Je ne sais quoi. I know very little French.
Je ne parle pas français, mommy, no.
Oh, woo, wow.
He
All
said,
right, you got me on that one. I took 5 years of French. I remember nothing, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think that means I don't speak French. Mom.
Yes.
So he said, so what this scientist has been telling him is a lot of information about the way that the virus actually reproduces. So it's something that we need to know in relation to the mitochondria and the health of the mitochondria in our bodies, because there are factors that determine who is susceptible to get the virus or not, okay? So it's just something to know. So this question that people have about whether it's man-made or comes from a parasite that rolls through bats, he said it's all the above. So that's something to know as well, that it was particularly, he's been watching, Louis Pasteur talk about the vibrations, the unique vibrations of this virus.
Okay.
Something that is like a killer virus. It is a serious thing. This virus is unlike anything that Pasteur has ever seen.
Well, I mean, I know it's called corona because it has a little sharp little, almost like a crown, and that's how it jabs into the cell and gets in, right?
Yeah, it has particular receptor points in the way that it reproduces is really unique, and it has a factor that, like Erik says, this virus looks like it has teeth on it to him.
Ew.
So it is programmed as a biological weapon of destruction. Like it was created from, obviously it also came from bats, but it also, the people who were studying it, there was a team of scientists, a man and a woman. According to Erik and Pasteur, there was a man and a woman who were developing this for a government, and they were developing it for use against, in whatever way that they wanted.
That's terrible.
So this would have been directed particularly at the U.S. population.
Oh, from China? Was it an accidental release from a lab?
It was an accidental release from a lab.
Oh, God. By these two people, man and woman.
One of the scientists got it and then didn't say that they got it, and then and left the lab, and it began to be spread everywhere. So it wasn't just from bats, people, is what Erik.
Oh, yeah, right. So it was China, the ground zero, right?
And Erik said Chinese people have been eating all sorts of things for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
And we recently start to come upon these viruses, so now he's pointing to Pasteur for a minute. Pasteur says, so it's not a new pandemic. If you consider the effect, if you consider SARS, there's a reason why these things happen. SARS is an effect of coronavirus. You can get this sort of effect from coronavirus, but there are many viruses that causes the SARS effect. So many viruses that are similar in their nature to each other in China. Why China? He said, I want the Chinese population to consider what is going on collectively in the spiritual realm, what is going on in the belief system, to really cause this sort of situation again and again and again.
Wow. So what is it?
Etc. So back to Erik. Erik said, it is a belief that they can be controlled, must be contained, that they are a part of a cog, that they aren't even human, that they're part of a cog that needs to stop reproducing and die off. And then they're going to be in alignment with a virus that says, oh, well, we'll do that reproducing for you.
Oh gosh.
We'll do it ×3 in your cells, which will kill you but make us flourish. So it's
Yeah.
a symptom of a governmental effect that Americans need to be particularly cognizant of, according to Erik.
Yeah.
Because they're so determined, just hell-bent. He said, you know, you guys are hell-bent on your freedom, your freedom, your freedom, your freedom, and you're getting so much freedom, you can go everywhere and then get out
Yeah.
everywhere. You don't understand how your own government has been protecting you for, you know, the
Yeah.
past years. You've been contained for a
Yeah.
reason, because our government knew that this was happening, was attempting to control in a way that protected you, but you're like, no, 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 my freedom, at the cost of what?
Yeah, really. So,
So
wow. So did they know, our government, did they know about the two scientists? And
there's
did the one die, actually?
there's political unrest.
Pardon me?
There is political
Oh,
unrest.
okay. Yeah.
So between Asia and another country and our country, and there's things caught in the middle, like
Yeah.
Brexit, and interesting things going on politically that you know, are out of control as well, and too contained in certain instances. So he doesn't want to get too much into politics, but he does want to say
God,
this is
no.
a matter of whose side you're on. This is not a matter of
No. I'm on the side of life.
He said, so when you're thinking about, you know, you need to kind of like, you have this one culture who has been told to contain itself, control itself, to not reproduce, to not be human, to not feel life, to not be treated as human beings.
Yeah.
That's their containment. And then their government is saying, not only do we want to contain them, we want to contain America as well. We're going to create a biological weapon, because these other people from other countries, their bodies are acclimated to certain things involved in the way that this virus reproduces. So here's the way the virus reproduces.
Okay.
So it comes from parasite. We're back to Pasteur. I can never say these French names.
No, you're doing good.
The
Louis.
So the scientist says, back to the way that the science reproduce, other systems can't handle this. So many systems can't handle this.
What do you mean systems? What do you mean by systems?
Systems like our immunological system.
Oh, got it.
Like so many things that aren't prepared to handle an attack like this. So the way that it started before it began to be reproduced, so both of these things are true. It started in a bat for a reason, but not because of a bat.
Okay.
Because of a mosquito.
Oh, a mosquito got the bat. And that's how SARS and all that. I mean, it's really interesting. Some of these viruses, there's big epidemics, and then all of a sudden it goes and hangs out via mosquitoes in like a bird population or bat until it rears its ugly head again. The only virus that has not been able to do that and can only reproduce itself in human is smallpox, and that is the most deadly virus ever. Unfortunately, it picked the wrong prey, mankind. So we developed a vaccine, and that's why it's all but eradicated, I think. Yeah. So, but these things, they can go play hide and seek, and be quiescent for decades.
Mosquito. The female, so the bat eats a lot of female mosquitoes, you know, and humans ingest the bat, and then there's something in the parasite that lives on throughout that whole. People will say, you know, well, no, you know, the parasite will die off through various systems, but this virus doesn't.
It doesn't get, it doesn't die because of the gastric digestive juices. Then is that what you're saying?
No, it lives off of it.
Wow.
It's programmed to kill, and it eats those juices for life. Like it loves.
Oh, wow.
It's growing by it.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing about our digestive tract and our mitochondria. Digestive, particularly in the United States, but everywhere, humankind's everywhere, are becoming more and more accustomed to eating certain things that make your entire cellular system, your mitochondria, very weak. So you have weakened mitochondria, according to scientists here.
Well, what has weakened what's the main, at least a few things, I guess. What things weaken our mitochondria?
There are a lot of things involving the way that the toxins that are coming through, you know, particularly the MSG and the different
Oh,
sugars that we think are replacing regular sugars. Like we're thinking that we're eating better by replacing sugars, but
yeah.
actually artificial sweeteners are not really very well tested. Erik
Oh,
doesn't really fully trust them. He's watching it just like I am and like everyone else is. And he's like, I don't know. So now you're not diabetic, but why is your mitochondria
yeah.
fight off these diseases? And this is why more immune system problems are cropping up. So
Like autoimmunity is
right.
going,
Right.
yeah.
There's 13 million cases of the flu, according to Louis Pasteur. There are 13 million cases of the flu that just like killed 13 million people right now. But nobody's paying attention to that. You know, what we're paying attention to is not, we can fight that to a certain degree.
Yeah, with Tamiflu and things, yeah.
We can't fight this. So
But there's
basically,
we can't make a medication like the flu
they're
we
working on
use
it.
Tamiflu.
They're
Okay, but
working on it. So
there is one. Okay, is there a vaccine that could be developed? I know they're trying.
it's something more so than that. According to Louis Pasteur, the way there's a three-pronged way that this virus reproduces, so they have to reverse
Oh,
way. So this is a reversal system.
okay.
We're creating something that is an antidote that reverses the way it reproduces. So it's not exactly what you think in terms of the vaccine. It's very different than that.
Oh,
So they're working on something now, and it's almost in completion. And it's, you know, particularly the U.S. is really, you know, doing everything they can, and China's doing as good of a job as they can, according to
yeah,
Erik. They're doing as good of a job as they can. But you have people who want to travel and run away, you know, when they're supposed to be being contained, and they don't like to be they don't like
yeah,
being contained, and they want to
yeah,
run away from their own
yeah.
country. So then, like, we have certain things that are going on that we're, you know, travel's on lockdown for certain countries right now, and that's
Yeah.
going to get even more strict.
And it's been difficult with the euro. I mean, there's open borders pretty much, so that makes them very vulnerable. What can we do to strengthen our mitochondria then? But
There's
besides stopping all the toxins and processed foods, obviously, but if they're already weak, what can we do? Sorry to interrupt.
it's okay. Um, he said there's a plethora of things that you can do. You know, so
Plethora. My boy got the big vocabulary now.
he said, so keeping your system alkaline. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Keeping your system alkaline. That's a big deal right now. And there's just so many things you can do to do that, because American diets are full of acidity.
Mm.
You know, so you can, you know, try to do things to keep your food more alkaline, your drinks more alkaline. You can cut back on sugar inducing things like alcohol.
Yeah.
You can really go deeper into what is the addiction to sugar. It's emotional as well. So it's the sugar breakdown, and then we're trying to replace sugar with other things, which isn't working. Sugar is creating a certain environment in the mitochondria that allows for more yeast,
Yeah.
which is exactly that combination of a high yeast and high acid environment in the biological system, according to the scientist here.
Oh, so alkaline water would probably
Yeah, it
be good.
helps a lot. And then everything that you're eating, this Americans in particular have a very alkaline diet. Almost all of their, very acidic diet, he corrects me. So almost all, there's so many tomatoes, there's so much, there's orange juice, there's so much acidity. We can balance that out a little
Yeah.
bit.
Okay. I don't know anything about alkaline foods, but I'd say just drink some alkaline water, or maybe put a little sodium bicarbonate in water or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it helps to a certain degree, but then like if you have so much yeast because of so much sugar,
Oh
and
yeah.
you know, and then you're doing things to counteract it, like take artificial sweeteners, which actually does something to the way that the virus reproduces that makes you more susceptible even. So all these artificial sweeteners aren't helping the situation.
Yeah. What about kombucha any kind of probiotics that would also help balance the gut and diminish the yeast,
He
etc.
said
or
the
not?
thing that this virus does that's unique, this virus clings onto the Epstein-Barr virus. It
Oh,
to it. It just loves it. And most people have Epstein-Barr. You know, so what can you do to cleanse Epstein-Barr out of your system? It's a detoxifying environment. You really change your lifestyle. And not just that. You know, Erik reminds us that food is energy, food is emotional, food comes from your fear that's going on in social media, food comes on in what you're ingesting from that perspective as well. So what energy, it's all about the mitochondria.
The negative, if you're eating with negative emotions, negative, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it's not an accident, Erik says, that right now the primaries are going on and everybody's banging each other to town about
I
like.
don't even watch the news. I can't stand it. Oh my God. Oh.
And they're not really doing their research. They're just like, oh, Trump is bad, blah, blah. And they're not doing their research. You know, no one's doing research about the positive effects of any side of the fence.
No, I know. They only listen to one channel and, you know, and anyway, I don't want to go into that because I get in trouble. So what are the 3 prongs that you're talking about, Louis or Erik?
So the scientist steps forward again. They're just kind of coming back and forth, and some of the things you think is Erik saying happens to be the scientist.
Okay.
You know, like, so that's coming in and out between the two of them. But the overall message, particularly from the scientist, is number 1, our food, particularly with alkalinity or acidity, we need more alkaline food. You know, we also need to be aware of how to detoxify ourselves from feeling vulnerable. Like, so the emotional state of that, Erik says, is this concept that we are vulnerable and going to be attacked by something 3 times, like killer virus, killer politician, killer wars, killer this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a killer virus. It has a vibration of something that attacks the way that your body naturally operates to defend itself.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, working on your mitochondria in specific ways, you know, so those 3 ways, you know, what are you flooding yourself with in terms of, you know, the energy in the environment. So this is pollution and Wi-Fi. That's 1. Pollution and Wi-Fi. 5G is not helping. And not to say that it's bad. Erik says it's not that it's bad. It's just that it's being researched. It's got to come along ways in terms of the barriers that companies use to protect it from going into you at a cellular.
Oh, I see.
Barriers aren't there.
But can't you just have an intent like it ain't gonna hurt me? Law of attraction, you know.
Well,
I'm not vulnerable to this.
Well, he said the Organite people have it right. He was like, all these things about Organite and protecting, they have that right.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
So that's one way. So what is in your environment with pollution and the 5G? What is in your cellular environment with too much acid? And what is in your cellular environment with too much sugar or replacements for sugar? So what are you, and then the spiritual belief system of that, what are you missing out on in terms of not feeling that life is being good to you? So there's a victim mentality to this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you really feel like I am healthy and I'm going to remain, I mean, it's thought creates reality. But if you're like, oh my God, I might get the virus, et cetera, then, but what are the 3, you said that the virus does 3 things that are very unique that this vaccine or medication or whatever is going to have to work on?
Okay, so the way that this virus works, it duplicates itself.
Yeah.
In 3 ways.
Oh, I see.
It duplicates itself so that it can reproduce in a way that if it kills off one portion of it, the other portion of it will still be active and working on like replenishing or reviving that other portion of it at a home.
Oh, okay.
So you got to understand a little bit about virusology, like virus works in order to get there.
Yeah, right.
The scientist is saying is that most viruses will have a backup drive. It's like if you have like a generator to your home, if your electricity goes out.
Yeah, backup generator, yeah.
Most viruses work in the way that they have a backup, that if something is killing them, they will pull forth from that backup generator to make sure they stay alive. So this virus kind of like, it'll start with what you think you're killing the core of its cell. You think that you're killing it at a electron level, but you actually can't. But it puts out these core energies from the electrons where it like its vibration prevents it from even from you even getting, from any vaccine even getting to the nucleus of the cell itself.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So it's got this magnetic energy that's like, you know,
a force shield.
Yeah, and then if you do get past that, then it still has like another generator energy behind that. So it's got like two nuclei. It's
So
very.
what kills it eventually? Our own, I guess, our immune. I mean, because not everybody dies from it.
So we took a natural virus, according to Louis Pasteur here. We took a natural virus and we turned it into a killer. Now that part was purposeful.
Oh, so it's not the native coronavirus. It's
Not,
the,
it's both. We have the
oh,
native coronavirus that's out there because it started, it got loose. But we also have, and that's been going on, and people didn't know it's coronavirus and just thought it was the flu.
yeah.
Okay, we have
But
that.
then you have the killer virus that these two
And then we have the killer
idiots.
virus.
Yeah.
So people are going to treat it and give vaccines to it as if it's the standard native virus, when what they
Oh,
need
yeah. Yeah.
is this mutated lab thing that's like with the teeth. Eric's showing me like a virus with teeth that's like programmed.
Wow.
Everything.
All right, let's go through some of these blog member questions. Is that okay, guys? Yeah. All right. Well, will they come up with a vaccine soon? An effective, I should say, an effective vaccine soon.
Eric says it's gonna have to be tweaked, and the scientist nodded, Louis Pasteur nodded, and he said it's gonna have to be tweaked in order to operate in those three ways. Because
I got you. Yeah.
so
And will that happen in the next 6 months, maybe, or?
Situation. It should be coming out by the end of this year. So unfortunately, we have a little ways to go, like at least.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay.
Have to test
How
it.
bad will it hit the U.S.? I think that we've done a good job in sort of sealing ourselves off, right?
Not bad. He said, the U.S. is doing an incredible job of containing this, and will continue.
Yeah. Okay. What's the spiritual purpose of it?
The division that it creates.
Between people?
Between people and culture.
Countries?
So there's things that happen. You see, you're on the plane and you see a Chinese person with a mask on, and you automatically are like, oh my God, get away from that Chinese person. And then all these things come about, and you may not be intentionally feeling like you're segregating, but you are. So it's this, you do it at a subconscious level. So this virus likes that. It likes it when you at a cellular level split off from yourself. So it likes that division. It likes that. So it's one purpose. This virus has three different purposes. Another one is it's attacking that feeling that you're going to be contained or not liberated or controlled. It's basically getting that back to you.
Yeah.
By 2,200 deaths.
Oh my gosh. Is that how many people will probably die from? How many people could?
Right now, over 2,000.
I mean, but overall, before it's contained, before it's stopped,
Oh, it's hard to say. Eric says it could be like so much more than that. It could be
millions.
No, it could be more like, at minimum 11,000 if it continues to be fully contained, and if not, it could be up to 19 to 20,000.
Okay, and one person says, I guess along the same lines, is it going to be a world pandemic? Maybe it already is. I don't know.
It already is, but that's an interesting cover-up. But you can't say world because we don't have enough actual cases here. So
yeah.
For a reason in terms of that, because some of these viruses are natural that's being spread, and some are the killer virus version of it. So it's not what you think. It's not all this killer virus that's going around.
Yeah. Some of it's just the native coronavirus. Not the weaponized coronavirus.
The weaponized one that, those two releasing from a lab one time. Yeah. So basically speaking, you've got like so much going on. So it isn't, this isn't like a real, it's not going to become a full world pandemic, because the US and Canada will have a lot of containment there.
Yeah. All right, somebody says, asked, is it true that it was fabricated under the knowledge of the USA and especially Bill Gates so as to have control over China, plus get the profit from any medication or vaccines in case there is a way to fight it?
Eric said, oh, you're getting one side of the story. That's true. And there was a reason for that, for your position. There was stuff going on with a lot of political unrest in Asia that their entire country isn't aware of. So there's a lot going on that, it was being used, but it was only because it was being used in a way that it was already there. And the US said, oh, it's there. So we may as well take that over to defend ourselves with it. If you're going to do that, we're going to defend ourselves with
Oh,
it.
I got you.
So
So is Bill Gates, was he involved at all in that, in trying to figure out a way to protect us from the weaponized coronavirus?
he said, and he wasn't the only one trying to protect us from that.
Okay. But
You
how
know,
was he doing? He giving money toward vaccines and research? Is that what Bill Gates
he was
did? Or?
giving money to Russia, and you guys are so pissed off about people giving money to Russia, but Russia is working for you in this case. Why are you pissed off?
I know everybody's pissed off at Russia, but keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. I say. I mean, I don't know.
He said, you know what, Russia
Lead with
is
love, not fear.
being a great ally to this country in ways that you don't understand yet.
Mm. I know it's not all bad. Nothing is, obviously.
It's just fear.
All right, yeah, I know. China is apparently, this person says, hiding statistics. So how much worse is it from what they are reporting? I don't know if they're hiding, or maybe they have trouble measuring it. I don't know.
Erik said it's mainly that they have trouble measuring because these counts are rising all the time. So if you're in China, you see this because particularly if you live or work around, the morgues and the things like that, and you understand dead bodies coming out can't be fully accounted for all the time, because then you have to test them to find out, is it the killer virus or is it the native virus? Is it the flu? Is it just because it looks like that? Doesn't mean that it's tested for that. We don't know that yet. So it can't be, it looks bad, and it is bad, and it is worse than what we think. And in some ways it's better than what we think, because we have about half native virus, half killer virus going on.
Okay, yeah.
In those statistics that are currently accounted for, but there's a lot that's unaccounted for, and being mistaken for the flu and some avian viruses going on.
Yeah.
There's an avian virus in the heart that people aren't even thinking about right now.
Yeah.
So
look at the flu epidemic of 1908. How many did that kill? It was horrible. Like 200 million. I can't remember, but I remember homeschooling the kids, and we went to a local cemetery where Howard Hughes is buried, actually, and we did charcoal rubbings, and they just said 1908. The entire family is just wiped out. It's incredible. So it's not gonna be like that, is it?
No.
Okay. All right. Was the coronavirus a deliberate attack on the Earth's population by the deep state, Illuminati, aka cabal, in an attempt to decrease the population numbers, as was part of their plans? And this is similar from another person. Was this new strain of coronavirus purposely released? And if yes, is it part of the Agenda 21 plan to reduce the population?
Erik says, stop it, you're going to blow Pamela's brain. Like, one question.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Was it purposely a deliberate attack on the Earth's population by deep state, Illuminati, aka cabal? I don't even know what cabal is.
Okay, so there are
the population.
Here's what you don't know that's very important. There's a lot of political unrest involving a unique Chinese family that's trying to get into the government in Ireland. So I had no idea about this, but I was listening to conversations with my family all around me in Ireland. I was listening to, oh my gosh, they're going to vote for that family just to get that other person out. So there's similar political things going on in the US as there is in Ireland. You're going to vote for something else, and because you don't understand what's currently there and protecting you. Yeah. So there is a Chinese family that is greatly destructive, and they are deeply involved in coronavirus. And want to control the Chinese population and depopulate it. Not the US, not Russia, it's this family. So it's something that you don't know because you're not following other governmental systems, because it's not even shown on the news, really.
No.
Access to this information. So now,
do Irish people know about this? I mean,
they don't know about the connection to this family and the coronavirus.
Oh, I see.
The family is very, the smart ones that are doing their research are aware that this family is very controlling, and they'll do
part of the global elite, the cabal, or the Illuminati.
They want to control everything. They're part of not just. I mean, the cabal is mostly associated with a worldview of things, but primarily people think about the Rockefellers in America and things like that. But it's bigger than that, And this family is a big part of it, and they want to control the Asian population primarily.
Oh,
They want
why?
land access.
Why do they want to do that? Why
They
do,
want ocean access. They want various things to control world trade so they can get more money, get more money, get more money. And if they control more money,
God.
they get more money. You know, if they control the seas, they get more money. If they control more airways as well over those seas. There's various factors in this situation with this family.
Jesus. Oh my.
And
Are they related to
so our presidency is trying to protect us from that.
I
And
know. People give Trump a bad rap, but Erik said that he was brought in by the divine to kick over the table and get rid of the corrupt, the global elite. And part of the global elite is the media. And the media, if you listen to only the lamestream media, you're going to think, oh my God, he's horrible. We got to get him out.
Everything you get from Fox and CNN, all the stories that we get in our channels, but there's so much more going on. Say,
yeah,
an example. There's so much more going
Don't
on
send hate comments, people.
other countries.
Yeah,
So
I know. That's true.
I'm just sharing what he's sharing with me.
Wow, that is so interesting. What about the president of China? Is he involved with his family or not? It seems like I get this good vibe from him, but maybe I'm
You get a what?
a good vibe from him.
I feel like he's trying to be neutral. He's like, he feels controlled too.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Like he just does what other people tell him to do, and he feels like he's a cog in this system.
Oh, I see.
Like he has a heart, but he doesn't know what to do. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I get good vibes from him, but I don't know. I'm to be naive anyway. Let's see. Here's another one. For me,
Erik says there's just so much more involved in this than we know, and in our state of political unrest all around the world. Yeah. And we're trying to really, really work on that right now as a world culture and as individual cultures. So this is why the coronavirus happened.
I see. It makes so much sense. So here's another one. I watched on a YouTube channel recently that since 1720, the plague, 1820, call your pandemic, 1920, oh, was it 1920? I was wrong then. Spanish flu, these killed an astronomical amount of people. And now it's 2020. Oh, 20 is the 20, 1720, 1820, 1920. I think it was 1918, the Spanish flu. Anyway, and now it's 2020. Is this another killer virus? Is this being brought to us because of all the negativity on the planet? Or is the media just trying to scare us again to control us?
Erik says, your media is attempting to control you in a way that is positive for you. You don't understand this because you're thinking of control as bad. Your media is trying to, well, not your media, but your government is trying to protect you, and you don't get that yet.
Okay, right, yeah.
So there's that. We don't get that.
So it's not, I mean, I can see this. Maybe the spiritual lesson for us as a collective is stop the negativity. Lead a life of love, not of fear. Otherwise, this shit's gonna get real every time. We're gonna get this viruses and everything.
Every 20, we come across this every 20. It's not new to our population. So here's the other thing. There's power in our independence right now as a country. So that doesn't mean we're against other countries, but we are perpetually so interested in wars in other countries, world trade in other countries, everything with other countries. But what about our unique ability to support each other in our families, in our local governments? You know, more people are voting than ever before. More people are interested in their local communities than ever before. And that's making this happen.
And we should be. We have the technology now to be more connected than ever before. So if we got to choose, are we going to use it to spread fear, or are we going to use it to live in love? You know, that's the decision. Now, the media, are they trying to use fear to spread this negativity, or are they doing other positive things? I mean, how are they really involved?
They're trying to get you to not travel. So, and there's a reason for that. You don't actually need to travel. There's been some leak of this virus into other countries. And just when you land in virus, like airports is a virus container. So you're landing in a particular airport where people were leaving China before China even knew that there was a problem.
Yeah.
You know, so you have these issues that people aren't really talking about. And sometimes our media is saying, let's scare the crap out of them to stop them from traveling so that they just focus on themselves and focus on containing this. So that's a part of it as well.
So that's a positive thing the media is doing, right?
They're using fear to do it. It's not great. It doesn't feel
Okay.
good. There's a
Well,
reason behind it.
I don't know. Sometimes it takes fear. It's like if your kid starts to run across the
Just,
parking lot and doesn't,
just afraid, or let the kid run out the street. Like the way that Eric's explaining it is a little different. We're looking at fear always as a bad thing, in spiritual communities. And basically sometimes we are afraid because we need to contain that and come together. We need to come together. We need to connect, he says.
It seems like you don't have to have fear. You can just have common sense. Hey, people, you can not get this virus if you do this. Not you're going to get the virus if you.
Yeah, I straight up, when I'm traveling right now, I pay attention to where I'm landing.
Oh, yeah.
Airports.
Yeah.
I don't do long layovers. And then another thing that I do is I won't stop in certain, I will not be having layovers in these countries that
Oh, no.
left and fled from. I will not be going there.
And don't touch your face. People touch their face so much. And anyway, so was this new strain purposely released? It was kind of an accident, right? Either the male or the female contracted it and didn't tell anybody.
They were Erik said they were so scared. They were just scared of what had happened, and they thought they could run away from it and go get better and go continue to develop the vaccine, but then they realized it was out of control. And
does the government know about these two people? Will they be arrested? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that'll come into light, Erik says.
Okay. And is it part of Agenda 21 plan to reduce the population?
So that, Erik says that—
I don't know what that is.
That is an Asian government agenda.
Oh, okay.
Back to this family that's, by the way, trying to get into the Irish government.
Oh, okay.
Also connected to the family and current Asian governments all over Asia. So basically this family is very much in control, and yes, they're trying to depopulate you.
Oh, God.
And you don't need to vote them in other countries.
Yeah, please don't. Oh, my God. All right, let's see. Okay, was it engineered in a lab? Okay, are there strains of HIV in this virus? Oh, are there strains of HIV in this virus? I didn't know.
No. No, but it has some similarities, but no, it's still very different. Only a few similarities.
Okay. Are there patents for this virus? Who would want to patent a weaponized virus?
There's a fight over a patent between this family and the Rockefeller family. So the Chinese—
Oh, God.
And the Rockefeller, they're fighting over the patent because—
Patent as a weapon.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. That's the cabal. That's the global elite. That's Trump is supposed to be brought in to topple, and still they hate Trump.
Who corrects the whole situation for Ireland, Asia, and the United States and Canada? It's Russia.
Wait, say the first part of the question. Do you know what?
Everyone is so terrified of Russia, but Russia, their government is the one who comes in and allies with if certain things happen right now, and it's going in that direction with this Chinese family, it's Russia who comes to their aid. It's Russia who comes to the Chinese aid as well.
Yeah.
Ally with the United States.
Yeah.
So you're going to get—
But Ukrainians don't think so, but that's okay. That's another topic.
It was based upon a lot of political unrest, and he just—
Is Big Pharma
today, but it just needed to.
Does Big Pharma, which is also part of the global elite, academia, the media,
they want to sell
politicians
and make a lot of money.
Yeah. So was it encouraged by Big Pharma, or are they like, oh, there's a virus, we better make a vaccine? Or did they have anything to do with the release?
They thought that the virus was going to kill cancer cells.
Oh.
And they could patent the virus in a unique way that would actually kill cancer cells. But this—
Well, can it?
It can.
Yeah, it kills the cancer.
It kills everything.
Oh, God. But okay.
It kills cancer and you, but yes, it does.
But can it be modified in a way that it won't kill you, but it'll just kill cancer?
No.
Okay. Well, oopsie.
Yeah.
Did our administration do the right thing? If not, what could or should they have done differently?
Did what administration?
The U.S. administration.
Erik said, I'm not sure how it's helpful to focus on that, but since you asked, why not? He said, at this point, it's already blown up.
I
uh,
know.
he said, this podcast became political and it needed to, and I'm not sorry, guys. You needed to know the truth about the whole world, not just your own corruption.
Exactly, sure.
So, ask me the question again.
Did the administration do the right thing? I guess, should they have done something differently? I think they sealed the country off very, very quickly.
You know, like not continually going in to other countries' businesses, but yet again, they had to, you know, and our government does have a heart and they do want to help. So the thing about it is that they handled it in the best way that they could. And there is no one right way that they could have done it better. There really isn't, other than just, when a country comes to you and says, we have a biological weapon that we might use against you if you don't become more indebted to us. What does our country do? Oh, we have that biological weapon too. We are in alliance with Russia to
create. Do we have it?
Bigger than you, so that you don't do us, and then the whole world goes like this at each other. He said.
Oh God.
This is what human civilization has been doing.
Peace through strength. That's what it is.
Yeah. So they had to do what they had to do. He said.
Yeah.
It wasn't better. They
it probably wasn't perfect, but at least we sealed the country off pretty rapidly. But unfortunately, that does hurt business here. It hurts businesses in China. It hurts the tourist trade, but it saves lives, I guess. So
it hurts, but it does make us more dependent on ourselves, and our trade economy gets better because it has to.
How does the way the government handled this compared to the way they handled SARS, Ebola, and MERS epidemics?
Better. He said better on both ends. Better in China, better here, better everywhere.
Okay. Well, we've learned. I guess we've probably learned from those epidemics, right?
And it could have been 3 times worse. We caught it fast.
Oh, good. Can the virus still be contained in the U.S. at this point, considering it's highly contagious and able to spread asymptomatically for 2 weeks? That's true. A lot of times, most viruses are often most infectious before symptoms arise.
Yeah. He said, and then it kind of sheds in a unique way. And this is the scientist.
Oh, really? Tell me about that, Louis, or the other.
Okay, so Pastor says it sheds in a way that will make it last for a long time. Unlike other, when you develop live vaccines and then you have shedding that goes on through the body very quickly, and then sometimes the vaccines work, and then depending on the immune system of the person, sometimes a vaccine can give you a disease. If your mitochondria aren't responding fast enough. So this virus has a long shedding process. In that shedding, it can duplicate itself in the shed of the.
Gosh.
So it's like really monstrous stuff.
Because it has core and then it has a capsid, which I guess you're saying is the shed. It probably has a capsid in a capsid. Is that what you're saying?
It does. And it's protected so that it can shed again and again.
It's like a little moat with alligators swimming around.
It's crazy.
To protect the core.
I asked Erik to show me a picture of the virus in my mind, and it had teeth on all around it, like little hooks, looked like teeth, and it was nasty.
Like little sticky burrs.
But yeah.
All right. Will it eventually be necessary for U.S. citizens to go into lockdown? Will people need to stay home for long periods of time, like what's happening in China? And if so, will isolation be required for weeks, months?
You won't be able to land in certain airports.
In the U.S., right?
Everywhere, but not necessarily in the U.S.
Okay, not in the U.S.
So basically, you won't.
Okay, got it.
Come from other countries into certain big popular airports like Chicago.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
Atlanta and the JFK and the bigger airports. You won't be able to even have a hub there if you are from an infected environment.
Yeah.
So you can't have a hub there. They won't even let you land to catch a flight to anywhere else that you're trying to go. So basically speaking, that if you're coming from one of those countries, you cannot have a hub landing. You can't have one of those little, layer landings to catch a flight elsewhere. And you can't come to the United States or Canada or certain areas. You'll find that will be limited. And Ireland would do the same thing. So Ireland would follow our lead in that. And, you know, Russia the same. So basically speaking, and then France eventually. But there will be that containment from all those countries in a way that kind of, and all the countries then follow suit in that order. And we won't also be able to travel to those hubs, like from America or from Ireland or from, you know, Canada. We won't be able to travel to those hubs either, or travel to those countries. That will be like, right now you have questions when you try to get a ticket somewhere, right?
Yes.
But it won't just be questions. It'll come to the point of they're tracking your entire history of where you travel, just
good.
that you haven't landed in one of those hubs in a certain amount of time backward, based upon how long the virus shed process seems to. They're studying the virus shed process. Is what the store here.
I gotcha. Okay. You know, the flu is very particular because it mutates so rapidly. So you can predict what vaccine to make, and then all of a sudden, you know, 18 months later, it's a completely different virus, and it doesn't work. Is this the same with this coronavirus? Well, actually, the native and the weaponized, do they mutate like the flu very quickly?
The pasteur steps forward again, and he said the natural one actually does mutate in an interesting way. And then the one that's manufactured, it doesn't have to mutate. It's a contained unit. It doesn't have to.
Oh, okay. Wow, interesting. Well, what about the stock market? It's been going, the U.S. stock market. How much more will it plummet? And what will the nadir be, like where we can start investing money and rising it back up to the top?
So let's talk first, Erik says, about how much it sinks. So Erik, he said, you know, this is like an old manual bagger. When it doesn't work, it goes fast down.
Okay.
So he's like very, very fast, you know, so a good amount of points, you know, over the course of like between now and October, fast plummets.
Okay.
So this makes us depend upon ourselves. This is for a reason, okay? And makes us have to depend upon our own investments that are very, very just in our lands right now. So our investment style changes.
Okay.
And pay attention to that. You know, you're not going to be investing in the same way that you used to.
Yeah, so because, you know, the technology stocks, since so much is made in, the parts are made in China, then we might have to reconsider and say, look, let's make plans to Vietnam or Pakistan or something.
Yeah, Apple goes out, and then what Apple does is, because it plummets so badly, they begin to create their headquarters in the United States and Canada and other countries.
Right, in Ireland.
Yeah, they start to create headquarters in other countries that aren't infected, which actually helps our economy.
That's not good for China. I mean, one thing is that China, the corrupt class, but the poor people of China, you know, and South Korea and stuff. So that's too bad. Okay, so right now I think the markets are like 27,000+. I can't remember. Well, how low will what do you see the low as? Of course, it's free will, you know, but
around like 20.
For 20,000. Okay, so when it gets to that, start investing in the Dow index or something. I don't know. All right, interesting. And when will it go back up to where it is now? Or
when people start being resting assured that the new vaccine, if you call it, even though it's not actually, whenever that starts to come out and they see that it's tested and working, people will start feeling safe. And when people start getting less bans on travel, they'll feel safer and it'll get better. But that's not going to be until around, my gosh, he says spring of next year.
Oh, wow.
A long time with this process. We're in this for the long haul, he says.
When will it hit the low of 20,000? What month? This year? Or?
October-ish. He said between.
Okay, October. Okay. Yeah. Spring. Wow. When will it get to 30,000?
That'll be around April, he says, between
well, that's cool.
End of March and mid-April.
Good to know. All right, almost finished. Okay, let's see. How did this virus originate? Unsafe handling. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Quick background. If I understand correctly, there's a paper published stating that in CoV, I guess that's the coronavirus, the RNA contains segments identical to that within HIV, which seems to imply the HIV segments can be inserted into the coronavirus to make the little n CoV.
Louis Pasteur said that would be a disaster.
Oh God, are they going to try to do that?
No, they're more intelligent than to attempt to do that. It seems to figure if you look from a scientific standpoint, but what that'll do is give the virus more power. That won't reverse its 3-cycle process at all.
Okay, okay.
That won't help out at all in the way that it attacks antibodies. It won't. It will just double. It will not make it kill itself. It won't do any of those things. It'll just make it stronger. So that's not really the direction that they're going to go. And even though it's similar, there are a lot of viruses similar to AIDS. And Louis Pasteur said if you put meat, pork, for instance, as it begins to rot underneath the microscope, it looks just like AIDS. There's a lot of viruses.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Eric said, so don't eat pork, man.
Oh, y'all, you got one of the best books I've ever read, besides Eric's, is called The Body, A Guide for Occupants. And it's by Bill Bryson, and it goes through, this guy must have Asperger's, because he delves, anything he writes about, delves into such detail. Like he goes into all these pandemics and viruses, and it's just, and he's hilarious too. So get that, guys.
Louis Pasteur says, learn about your own mitochondria, learn the way your cell.
Yeah, and they're super.
Mitochondria health. And what do you mean mitochondria health? Better oxygenation.
Yeah.
Oxygenation, building your red blood cells. What do you need for that? You know, just educate yourself with that, and you will feel better about being able to not get, be protected from this.
Okay, and this same person says also Wuhan has the only virus research lab in China that happens to be built next to a wet market. Whatever, I guess that's, raw food or something. I'm not really sure. I don't know. That wasn't really a question. How will this pandemic impact the economy? In other words, he's saying, which industries will be most affected? Quick comment, I've heard that Hyundai just shut down all of its manufacturing plants in Korea due to the shortage of parts they need to come from China. And Cathay Pacific Airline has already cut down 30% of its capacity. So anyway, I'm guessing.
Erik said everything is affected, but particularly the technology, and you got your things that are going on, a lot of the 5G implementation in our country.
Oh, okay.
That's
what about auto?
For a reason, by the way. So yes, the automobile industries are slowing down with particularly, to Chinese built cars. And then not even just that, but like the way that they trade with other countries with that. And
because, parts, there's Chinese parts that are in a lot of things that we build here too, I guess. Maybe even automobiles, I don't know.
Erik said the good news about that is we began to create our own industries with our own parts that work just as well. We began to create industry for ourselves.
Good.
Dependent on other countries, and this is the whole reason at a deeper collective level there's another reason for the virus. This is the positive reason for the virus.
Okay. Of course, things made here, especially thanks to the unions, negotiating very high pensions and all that stuff, it'll cost, labor is much more expensive here than in China or other places like Vietnam.
Erik, that is surprising. Then we have to pay people. Yay, local economy.
Yeah, it's worth it. We're worth it. All right, good. Also, airlines. I mean, since the traveling is cut down, that's going to be affected, right?
It's going to be affected, but not everywhere, and not all airlines. A lot of the American airlines are still going just as well for a long time. If not, they're barely affected.
Okay, if they don't go to these other, where they're affected people.
They won't. They'll be very strict.
Okay, good. And
deep regulations.
He also says, or he, she, I don't know who it is. I'm guessing oil and fuel industry will also get hit as a result of the downsizing of other airlines.
Not as
So
much as you think, Eric said.
okay. Any other industries that will be affected?
Uh, you know, oh my gosh, that's the rabbit hole. He's showing me, yeah, he's showing me this big agenda worldwide, not just in the U.S. Everyone was on board with making robots that were robotic things that would replace the human role in manufacturing plants.
Yeah.
You know, and robots for everything, and it was getting a little bit out of control. And a lot of those parts and a lot of that research does start and end in China. So
Yeah.
so that's affected in a good way, and that's for a reason, because it's getting a little bit out of hand.
So AI is going to be affected
Yeah,
negatively.
it's affected. Yeah.
Interesting. And what should we invest in now to ride it out through October?
He said, I want you to invest in American companies that are rebuilding industrial parts, like they're engineering new parts for
Okay.
larger pieces of equipment, like parts for ships and parts
Okay.
for aircraft, and but American,
Okay.
because they're going to have to be dependent upon now.
Sounds good. Louis and the other scientists, or Eric, is there anything you'd like to add? Or Pamela, if you have a question, feel free before we close.
Eric said, it's just, like I said, there's many factors at play here. There's not just one reason, and I don't want you guys to fucking get afraid.
No, that just makes things worse, man.
So
Your thoughts.
And the scientist said, I just want you to understand the way your mitochondria works and focus on the energy production and reproduction of your own cellular nature.
Right. And you Irish people do not vote for anybody with a Chinese last name. Seriously.
Their family. Yeah, they know who it is. We all know who it is. It's a big deal.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. I love you. Thank you so much, Louis Pasteur, and for everything you've done for us in history. And the other scientist, I don't know your name, but thank you so much. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Pamela. I love you. And until next time.
I love you too. And he said, I love you, Mommy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.